Raising the family, raising my children, and living a good life and a healthy life, um, and trying to do little service for a sick family, uh, sick family all over the world, and that's about it. Not much.
You have always been kind to me, and when I say kind to me, like a brother within the Sikh community, you're another person I can always depend on. And I have to say this to you. I love you, my brother.
Danny Singh, you always my brother from day one we met, and we will be brothers till we are apart from this earth. And as in the Sikhi, we all brothers. Even the people who are not um, Sikhs, they don't believe in Sikhs. They, as a human being, they're still our brothers sisters. It's one big family on this earth in the world, and we should never be feel that we only want limited where Sikhs only the family or the Muslims are one family and the Christians are one family or Jewish are one family. No, the all humankind is one family, and we all need each other, and we all work with each other, live next to each other, and it's one big family. God made it, and that's the way He wants it. That's the way we should deal with it.
And of course, this is the essence of Satguru Nanak Sahib's message to us. Uh, Sir, can you tell us a little about the Sikh struggle historically
Uh,
and at present times?
Yes, Sikh has struggled from day one. Even Guru Nanak Dev Ji has struggled where all the his time the people was telling him that he's not doing the right thing or he will never be doing the right thing. But he stood for the godly words and godly order, and he gave um, Garbani to us so we can live on it. And the whole world is he gave for whole world, not just only for Sikhs. Anybody can read it and do the right thing and live a good, progressive life for himself, herself, and for others. A message is for whole world. It's not just only for Sikhs or not for just Baba Nanak won't be happy if we keep his message in the you know we don't spread his message, his words, godly words. We have to spread it and let the people know what he believes and what Sikh believes and what is all about what God wants.
To
Did I
Pavan
answer
Singh
your
Ji.
did I answer your
We,
question fully, or maybe you can ask me in little small segments and it'll be easier.
of course, and we'll come back to it. Let me ask Pavan Ji, what are your ideas, impression on some of the issues that are facing Sikhs in United States today?
I think the issues are no different. The biggest issue that the Sikh community realized after September 11th was the case of mistaken identity. A lot of people were not familiar with the Sikhs, so they would assume that they're Hindus or Muslims or Rastafarians in some cases. So it really has been a struggle, but it has also been a blessing in disguise. And I say that because yes, it is very unfortunate that the first member killed right after September 11th with a under hate crime was a Sikh man in Arizona. And that unfortunate event took such a turn that the whole Sikh community in the United States made it their number one goal to make sure that they educate or they make their fellow Americans aware of their identity and who they are. And by identity, I don't just mean I mean the physical identity where the men grow long hair, long beards, and They wear turbans, whereas the women were telling, even the turban wearing women and those who do not wear turbans, they were telling their fellow Americans what the Sikhs believe in. Because an identity, there's a physical identity, there's a spiritual identity, there's a political identity. And we were making, we made it our number one priority to make sure we tell our fellow Americans we believe in equality of all of humankind. We believe in the meditation. We believe in recitation on the name of one God. We believe in treating others just as we'd like to treat ourselves. So those are a few basic tenets, and I do believe this. It's a never-ending struggle. It's not that all of a sudden, every American knows who the Sikhs are, and now all of a sudden we do not have any more issues. Some people might just target you for who you are. They might no longer be targeting because you're not a Muslim, but they might just target you for being a Sikh, for speaking the truth. So this is an everlasting cycle, but Sikh community is very thankful and grateful that we have a nation where achieving justice is possible.
It appears like lately there is a lot of consideration given to the abuses that we as immigrants, we as minorities um, are undergoing. We see a stronger voice from the Black community, and it appears as if even the Sikhs and the Black community are now joining forces together. What is your take on that?
Well, I think when we speak of minorities, what comes to mind at first is the Black community, because they have been I guess, the longest minority in America. Um, Probably around the same time as Jewish folks. But Black folks have suffered more so, to say, in America than the Jewish community or some of the other um, more classical communities, right when the country was shaping and taking place. But I think each and every immigrant community that has come, they have paid their fair share of their dues. You look at Italian immigrants. You look at Irish immigrants. They were called racial or national origin epithets. Um, they did not have access to equal housing opportunities. They did not have access to health care. It does take time. Same thing goes with Far East Asian minorities. You look at the Chinese immigrants; they kept on pushing them west and west and west. You look at what happened to the Japanese immigrants during World War II and afterwards. So it's it is true to say that to a certain degree all minorities do fight together, but I think each minority's struggle is a little different than the others. Because when you speak of the Sikh community, we speak of the case of mistaken identity. It's not just always happening from the white community. It's not just always happening from the English speaking Americans. It's not always happening from Christian Americans, because this is truly the melting pot. Sometimes minorities discriminate each other as well. So we need to be mindful that it's not just, all the abuse is not just taking place from any one single community, but we should be mindful, and we should always be seeking truth. We should always be seeking justice, not just for myself or not just for my community, but justice and equality for all.
Okay, thank you. Udham Singh, this struggle for Sikh independence seems to be foremost in many of us minds. Can you talk a little about the Sikh struggle in the United States, in Canada, in England, as compared to the Sikh struggle in Punjab? And how can we assist, resolve, help?
For the Sikhs, struggle is always there from day one, and we believe that it's going to be there, but we are fighting for it. We are trying to overcome that struggle because That's all we know in the last 300-400 years, even from the Baba Nanak days, over 550 years, that we have to face the struggle and we cannot walk away from it. And we had our days. We have good days, we have bad days, and just like in the family, sometimes you have good days, sometimes bad days. But sure, we want our own empire. We want our own under the Sikh rule regulation, where we can be free just like any other religious. Christian, they have their countries, their freedom, and Muslim, they have their countries, their freedom, and Jewish has theirs, and Hindus has theirs, and Sikhs the only one religious uh, doesn't have their own country and own freedom as a Sikhs, as a religious base, and we should have a freedom. And in Canada, a lot of Sikhs are doing a lot of good jobs, a lot of good things, and they're becoming a part of the Canadian fabric. And in America, Sikhs are doing the same thing. They are becoming of American fabric. And England is the first one. The England has third generation now. They're English. They are in the England the English fabric, and struggle is there, but we are merging right in it and overcoming a lot of our problems. But we still have a big problem. The big problem is that freedom for Sikhs, freedom for all, and that's what I think that we have to overcome that politically, religiously. That's what I believe.
How difficult do you think it is? I see a lot of opposition by mainstream Indian nationalists, you may say, and it seems as if that barrier is there in determining whether Sikhs get their freedom, get their independence. What are your views on this thought?
My views are just like any other Sikhs' views are, and a majority Sikhs, they want to finish their struggle, and they want to be free, and they want to have freedom to enjoy, and they can have more progress to their self, to their families, to their religions, to their empire. And what was the other question? What was the other question, Dennis Singh?
Your thoughts on Sikhs gaining their independence, gaining their freedom?
Yeah, Sikh was free in India, and not only the Sikh was free, Sikh got freedom to other folks like when the Sikh Empire was there, and all the Hindus was living in the Punjab, they were free. Muslim, they were living in there, they were free. And that time in Punjab, there was only 6% Sikhs. The rest of them was the Hindus and Muslims, but Sikhs did all the fighting with aggressors and made a good empire for 44, 45, 49 years and have a freedom for all. Not only that, they saved the south of India country from the aggressors coming from Afghanistan and other countries. They stopped them coming to India, where they were coming every year, every 6 months, and taking their families with them and their money and their gold and all that stuff. And think, if somebody's coming to attack you every 6 months or year, every 2 year, how would you live? And it's six great warriors got together. Even they were 6%, but they put a fight and they had their empire. And then the British people, English people, take over. And amazing is that when the British took over, that Indian people fight with the Indian, with the Punjabis, with Sikhs. but just because they were hired by a British man, and just because they didn't care about their freedom, they didn't care about Punjab's freedom. So after that, let's say British took over, and um, it was country three. It was three religious: Sikh, Muslims, and Hindus. So Muslims got their country, and some did stay in India, but mostly they got their country, and Sikhs did not get their country. And now the struggle is greater for the Sikhs because they didn't get what British took over from them, British took from them, and it's like two brothers, and one brother got taken the land and the house and making a homeless, and how can he become just like other brother? And justice was not served that time, and justice is not served today, and struggle is there, and the struggle is there for Sikhs, and they are facing the struggle, and they want to overcome that struggle. Did
Thank
I
you,
answer
Chief.
your question properly or closely, or I think I'm a little bit off that answer.
You're never off, OMG. Perfectly. Perfectly. Pavanji, Sikhs have always stood in the forefront for India's struggle against the British Raj. We saw in World War One, World War Two, where the Sikh were fighting in Japan, China, Burma, Africa, only to uphold India's sovereignty. And it seems as all along they were not rewarded. And if they were rewarded, they weren't rewarded with kindness. It appears to me that throughout history, the main idea, purpose of the British imperialist Raj was to replace the Sikh Raj, which they did, implant their own rules there. That rule they implanted minimized the authority of Sikh and Sikhism up to this day we're speaking. And we're talking all the way from World War One, World War Two, coming all the way down. And that left a distinct, indelible mark on Sikhism. Can you talk a little bit about this? I know the MacLeod line that they drew through Punjab, they drew that line right through Punjab there. That maybe have been the start for all the things that are happening then that are happening to us now. 10 million Sikhs were displaced. Another million Sikhs were killed. And until this day, it doesn't seem as if it gets any better. Talk to us about your opinions, your feelings on this.
Well, I do believe that any imperialist power is going to do that. It's not just the British, even if it was the French or the Portuguese or anybody else. I'm sure they would have done the same. Um, and here's the thing, you talked about the line that was drawn, and oftentimes it is said, oh, well, India was divided into two pieces. No, that's not how it is. Before British got to the subcontinent, India was nothing, not the country that we see today. It was just a lot of separate provinces, national nation states, um, all these different kingdoms that were there. They put them all together, and what happened in 1947? That two countries were divided. One was Punjab, and the other was Bengal. Now, the basis was also religion, but at the same time, most of the people do not know that Urdu and Hindi were created at a university by the British in India. That was to set the linguistic nationality. There are other Sikh scholars who are, a lot more knowledgeable than I am, and they say that these national identities were created along linguistic lines as well. The Hindus got Hindi and the Muslims got Urdu. But what happened is what actually got divided was Bengal on the east side and Punjab on the west. Now it is up to the Punjabis to decide whether they want to live separated or they ever want to unite. On social media, it seems like there's a huge thirst, and people want to see their lost family members. Some of them converted and some of them did not. So we'll see what the time has to bring. But social media is playing a very positive role, and people are realizing that when their governments were telling both sides that the people on the other side are your enemy, Punjabis are finding love. And I think immigration to the Western nations have helped close that gap, because once Punjabi people come from both sides, from India and Pakistan, then they see how much they love each other. So I think overall I am very positive. With China coming into South Asia, I think there is a chance that the Union of India, as weak as it is, or as weak as it has been since 1947, there are chances that it might just break up, just how there has been Brexit. Punjab might just decide to be its own sovereign state again, or if nothing else, the Punjab or the Punjabi speaking areas which were given to Rajasthan and Himachal and Haryana, they might just decide to come together and make it a buffer area. But we shall see, what time has to bring to the Punjabi people. But we should be vigilant. And when it comes to Punjab, Sikhs have always played a very important role in serving the people of Punjab, not just based on religious lines, but whether it has been Muslims or Sikhs or Hindus. Sikhs have always been at the forefront to sacrifice themselves to make sure everybody gets their freedom, just like they did in 1799 when Sarkar-e Khalsa was established by kicking out the invaders from Iran and Afghanistan. They did the same thing all throughout while the Brits were there from 1849 to 1947. And even after 1947, the Sikhs have been at the forefront fighting for the water rights for Punjab or any other federal laws that violate the state rights of Punjab. Sikhs have always been at the forefront. I know the Indian government labels them as militants or as terrorists, but obviously, for how long can they continue to do so? A day will come when the rest of the Punjabis, mainly the Hindu community, will realize that Sikhs are not fighting for the rights of other Sikhs, but they're fighting for the rights of all Punjabis. But like I said, a lot of that has to do with time. When the time is right, I'm sure, the boundaries would change, because Russia was a strong country and it was only able to keep Berlin for so long. And India is not even as strong as Russia. So I don't see those boundaries being permanent.
Under the present conditions, under the present government, do you see this happening at any time? I mean, you're saying
Absolutely.
it's forthcoming, but we're looking at the many Sikhs who now are suffering. The many Sikhs, as you say, are called terrorists. The many Sikhs who are left without resources. We're talking about water, we're talking about food, we're talking about homes, you know. So it would appear as if there is nothing right now in the pipeline that is going to address these issues. And unless some drastic measure is taken, it seems as if we are at a standstill.
You're absolutely right, but you put a key word in there. You said suffering. Suffering is what leads to struggle, and struggle is what leads to success. So the more suffering there is for the people, the more they realize who their oppressor is. They will be able to easily identify who the oppressors are, and they will be able to fight against the system. No matter how much Indian government plays in the media and does the whole drama that it's a Hindu versus Sikh fight, the truth has to come out. And the truth is the Indian central government wants to give everything to the corporations, just how the British government was trying to give everything to East India Company, and they were using India as a supplier of raw material, but India was not getting anything back in return. So just like that, just based on the same policies, the Indian government of today, they use these ploys. They will try to kill Hindus, drag them out of buses like they did during 1980s. They killed them, and then they would blame it on Sikh. They would say, "Oh, the Sikh militants killed them." That's not how it is. That is a lie. Now, men and women from their own, well, primarily men from Indian military and Punjab police and other Indian police forces are coming out, and they're saying, "Yeah, we had secret programs such as black cats where those paid by the government would act as if they were the Sikh freedom fighters, and they would go and kill families of other policemen, so then there could be enmity, so there will be uh, no mercy in the hearts of police, because the policemen were Punjabis as well, and they realized that what the freedom fighters were doing was the right thing to do, both Hindu and Sikhs. When we say the British, divided and ruled, Indian government is not doing anything any different. Whether it's the Congress Party or whether it's the present day Modi, a lot of people are thinking that Modi is trying to make India strong, but Modi is making it weaker and weaker every day because the opposition is getting stronger. And like you said, minorities are coming together. Same way in India, when you look at Kashmiris, when you look at Tamils, when you look at Assamese, when you look at Muslims in general, you look at Christian persecution. So all that is going to build up. And obviously, the geopolitical events that are taking place, how China is pushing on India and trying to, not trying to, but they have entered Indian territory. And if India keeps on coming back, falling back off, just like it has done during the past few weeks, I see a very bleak future with it. I have a feeling that India would implode because of the external pressures and because of all the negativity that the present day government has created in India. The oppression that has taken place of religious and ethnic minorities within the boundaries of India would make India implode.
Udham Singh, thank you, Pavan. Udham Singh, there is an active movement for Sikhs to gain their sovereignty, to gain their independence. Can you briefly touch on referendum 2020 and what it means for the people living here, the people living in Punjab, the people living in India on a whole?
Yes, Dennis Singh, there's no other choice for the Sikhs. And the choice is now referendum 2020, which is November. The voting will be cast, and people should be able to vote if they want to be a free, or they want to stay with India, or they want to be a free as a Khalistan. Indian government should not interfere there, because it's a freedom freedom for everybody, just like Indian government help Bangladesh to have their referendum, and then other country has their referendums, and referendums are still going on in the world, and which is the part of England, part of some islands, and it's the only way is let people make a choice. Um, if people want to be separate, or people want to have their separate country, and live a separate as a separate nation, or if they want to stay with India, that's their choice, and people should be asked on that on the free will, because nobody should be depressed. Like if your children are 21, and they should have a choice. They want to stay with the parents, or they can want to move out, have their own family. And sure, they can stay with the family if they want to, but they can stay with the mom dad. If they don't want to stay with the mom dad, and they believe they get abused, or they got wrong used, and somebody, their mom dad taking their money, and using on wrong place and wrong way, and they have choice to be separate from mom and dad. So what I believe the Sikhs are having a divorce with India, and because Sikhs are abused from 1947 till today, and this abuse will not stop. And they were promised in 47, right? There was promised to have a free nation by six, but no. Soon India called freedoms, called independence, so-called Indian independence. It was only for one side family. It was not for everybody. And Dalit in India is never free. Sikhs in India never free. Christians in India never free. Muslims in India never free. So think about it. Who is free? A bunch of people there running around doing their religious thing. They believe they want a Hindu nation to their self. And they are in the Congress, they are in the government, and they are ruling the country. They want to be free. But no freedom to anybody else, and minorities or any other villages except the Hindu nation they want to build. And look, they want to build a Ram Mandir. Build a Ram Mandir. Nobody has a problem. But don't build on somebody's mess. And build it. There's plenty land in India. Build it somewhere. Look, China. Look, Arab countries. They're making the islands in the ocean. And if they don't have land, they can make islands in the ocean. Make islands in the ocean, make the Mandara beautiful in the world, that people can come see it on the island or somewhere in the ocean, under the ocean. Don't care, but don't disturb somebody else's villages, and don't kill people just because they have to say, Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram, or they don't want to say Jai Shri Ram. What's going on in India? It's a very, very wrong thing going on, because you cannot go on like that. You cannot abuse somebody's rights. You cannot abuse somebody as minorities. And we all believe that. Sikhs all believe that. If there's a referendum today, all Sikh will vote with a referendum 2020, and they want to be free, and they want to have a Khalistan.
Briefly, I've heard the opposition say this is not practical, it's not feasible, it will never happen, it can't happen. Briefly, talk to me about this.
Okay. Nobody ever thought that coronavirus be in all over the world. And people thought that, it's a Chinese thing, it's in China, and it's there in a fish market, and it's limited, right? So it's all over in the world now. And some countries that have more than others. But you don't know what Mother Nature going to bring. That what is today, what is tomorrow, what is next day. We don't know about our health. We don't know about wealth. We don't know what God got planned. And anything can happen. That people who say nothing can happen, there'll never be different countries, never be separate and all that. They can try hard, but God willing, and if people willing, nobody can stop nobody.
Thanks. I hear you. Pavan, onto some religious thoughts. I am on Facebook and I get posts with saying there is something wrong in Sikhism. Sikhism do not welcome outsiders. Sikhism are racist. Sikhs are racist, which I find hard to accept, being an outsider myself. But maybe it's just me. I think the role of Sikh throughout history has been minimized, and it's been minimized for a strategic reason. When the British took over, one of the things they did was to minimize the role of our guru. The role of our guru was lost. As I say, you have writers, British writers, who would refer to our guru as prophet, as teachers. And we find the role of the supreme highest being been brought low to compare to that of a prophet. A prophet will lose his jackass and can't find him. Our teacher, our guru, should never be brought to that role, and this is where the role of Sikhism is minimized to make it less important. Our guru is God personified, and some may not like it when we try to bring the concept of a guru being with God, having the light of God. But I think this is what is missing why we find our Sangat, the children, are not really in line or in tune with the importance of Sikhism. It's not their fault. It's not that their parents' fault. It's the plan to minimize, to disregard the role of Sikhism in the entire global community. Can you expound on this for me, Sam?
Well, I'll try to dissect the two questions that you have. The first question was, you said many people say the Sikhs are racist.
Not
Was that the
many.
question?
I'm saying, I'm saying not many people are saying that. I've seen posts in which some people, maybe converts like myself, are saying, "Oh, I've been to the Gurdwara. I wasn't welcome. I've been handled differently." And while I may agree or not disagree, I think there's a reason for that. And it's not because Sikhs in themselves are racist, although there may be some semblance of avoidance there. We can't neglect that or hide from it. But how do you see this?
Well, but I mean, when you say somebody was treated differently, if you go and they let you worship at the same place, if, everybody sits at the same level in the langar and also in the darbar hall, and if everybody's allowed to do that, then I don't see how anybody can be treated differently.
Let me interject here. One of the
Okay.
posts I got that came to me is of this Sikh, I think he's in Canada, who went into Langar Hall with his daughter. I think she was 7 years old at the time. And his narrative is that on more than one occasion, he was passed over for giving water. The person who was serving there did not give him the water. They passed him. They probably passed him more than once. I did a repost on that, and it spread through the Sikh community saying this is never should have happened. Is it a matter of unaccountability on the leadership of the Gurdwara that this is made to happen? Because it happened to me. And maybe it may be something that is inadvertently, the person didn't remember that, oh, I didn't serve this person water. But I've seen instances of this happening which reflects badly on Sangat because I know there is no such thing as racism or avoidance in Sikhism. And if this is happening, it may very well be planted within our Sangat. Because these people may be thinking, oh, a Sikh did that. But we need to remember that there are other people other than Sikhs, and I call them planted, I call them mischief makers, who may be doing this for a specific reason. And this is what we should be looking to, thinking to, and ask if this is happening, then where is the accountability of our Gurwara management? Are they
Right.
held
Well,
accountable? Like things like this?
yeah, I have a few things to say about that. First of all, the Sikh religion, Sangat is supreme. The Sangat, by that I mean like the local Sangat does their own thing. They set the rules. There isn't really any organized religion as to speak. Yes, there is some bureaucracy. We still have Akal Takht. All Sikhs are, living by that, by the code of conduct. But also at the same time, we do not have a strong order like the Catholic Church, where everything comes from the Vatican, including the assigning and whatnot of the priests. Sikh Sangat decides who they're going to hire as a priest. Sometimes it's just a voluntary position. Most of the positions are voluntary, including all the Gurdwara managements. Perhaps those two people did not like each other. Maybe there was something personal going on, something that they brought into the Gurdwara from somewhere outside. We don't have all the facts. Okay. Secondly, like you said, anybody can come and eat langar, and anybody can come and serve langar. They do not necessarily have to be Sikhs. They do not have to be 100% committed, because, like I said, there aren't really that many boundaries in Sikhi. Anybody can come and listen to the word of the Guru, what the Guru has to say. So it becomes very hard to find those instances. But if you look at the past 10 years, wherever there has been a fire, forest fire or hurricane or any other natural disasters, Sikhs have gone to the areas regardless of the local demographics, whether it has been
It's
blacks or
true.
whites or Hispanics or brown folks or Indian folks or Pakistani folks. A Sikh is only a Sikh as long as he or she does not discriminate. The moment they discriminate, they're resigning to their guru, that they're no longer the Sikhs of their own guru.
Angie, thank you.
And then there was also a second portion to your question. That was that the British government or the governments thereafter have been trying to suppress. Well, any movement, any organization, any religion, any individual that raises their voice for equality among all humankind will be oppressed. And Sikhs are no different. And the struggle is real. And the struggle is global. Regardless of where we go in this world, as long as you choose to speak and seek truth, you will be targeted. You will be targeted by sometimes even your fellow community members. Sometimes you will be targeted by a certain system, a certain regime, a certain gang, or even a certain corporations. I keep on saying the word corporation because it's really large corporations and large governments that are working hand in glove with each other to control the entire global population. And that's why they want a one world government where they only pass the rule once and then everybody else has to follow it. And most often, those rules are draconian. So I think it's an ongoing struggle, and it's going to stay like that. We just need to be vigilant. We just need to read Gurbani and try to live our life according to that Gurbani, what the Guru says. Opposition will come and go, but as long as Sikhs, the body changes, but the Sikhi spirit, you can compare Sikhs from the 1500s to the 1600s to the 1700s to the 1800s. Every Sikh, the Sikh population of that time has had their own struggle in a different way. Sometimes they had to fight Mughals. Sometimes they had to fight invaders from Iran or Afghanistan. Sometimes they had to fight off, Western imperial forces. Sometimes they had to fight, Indian central government's forces, which is happening right now. So it really just, it's a never-ending game because it's human nature. And Sikhs just need to be vigilant. Sikhs need to pay attention to what their guru has said, because from time to time the oppressors will change, and we just need to change our tactics along with it.
Thanks. Quick question, a quick follow-up. What would you say to the people who are saying, oh, I go to a Christian church, they welcome people, they have a welcoming committee. I go to the Sikh Gurdwara. There's nobody there to welcome you, there's nobody there to make you feel acceptable and such. Give me a response to that comment.
It would not be a bad idea to have a welcoming committee, because the Sikhs were not supposed to be a closed community. That's why you have the Nishan Sahib. It was put there for a reason that anyone can find from a distance and just go there, and they will be welcomed, they will be well fed, and they will be provided shelter along with financial help and security to a certain degree. And I think it's up to the management committees or just the volunteers. Dennis Singh, if you and I decide to form a 2-member committee where you and I are the only members, and we decide to do seva, you know, nobody is telling us to go serve langar. Nobody's telling us that we need to go clean people's shoes. It's up to us. It's up to whatever the guru is telling me. It's about finding that bond with the guru, and then you go out and then serve the community. First, we serve within the boundaries of the Gurdwara, then we go and we choose to feed the homeless, or we decide to go to an animal shelter and rescue animals. It's up to us where we see our message of our guru taking us. And if you and me and Udham decide to form a welcoming committee, I don't think anybody would have an issue with it.
Udham, on the subject of a committee, back in the day, the guru was run by a head grantee. The imperialists came in and changed all of that. Masons took the place of the grantees, and we know what happened there. They were corrupt to no extent. It so happened that the Sikhs protest, and I guess the imperialists said, okay, we'll give you back the keys to your Gurdwara, but you'll have to have a committee. Formed committee, who apparently was run by the British, right? The committee, until this day maybe. But this committee has been in the leadership role ever since. Do you think the committee and how the committee is set up is democratic? Because what is happening is that these committees can be bought out easily. The grantees were trained. They were trained for a religious purpose. They not were selected randomly according to some guys there saying, okay, I'll have a committee, but I'll stack the committee with people who will vote in my favor. And maybe this is what is happening, the accountability factor. Maybe we should have the 5 Panch Piaras decide who these committee members are and how they're selected. Are they selected by a democratic process, or are they selected at the whim of some people who want to control the Gurdwara? What are your thoughts?
Dennis Singh, that Guru is great, and Sangat is great. And you talk about the middle part between the Guru Seva and the Sangha Seva. Yes, when the British was there, they did their way things, and they had their friends, and they had wrong people in the middle of it, in the committee, what you say. And then after the independence was there, and then it's still there, and it's that disease has came all over the world too. It's in England, it's in Canada, it's in the USA, and it's all over the world. Wherever the Gurdwara is, there's a disease is there. So Sangat is supreme, Guru is great, Guru is the supreme. If middle part is not doing their job, what they should be doing, um, Sangat can change a lot of things. What happened with the Sangat is that, like, people like me will go say, okay, I'm here to just worship, and I'm not going to, go through the struggle. I'm just going to go home, and that's where the fight stops. You know, you have to stand up for the right thing, and you have to stand up for what's going wrong. Um, lot of what I believe is because our independence struggle. When there's independence struggle, when you are not free, let's say you're not free, your family is not free, your village is not free, and your empire is not free. Um, those things normally going to happen because uh, there's a government wants to put their hands in it, and there's a lot of money involved in it, and there's a lot of things are involved in it. So it's not just you and me and Pavan Singh, going to decide something. Whole Sikh nation had to decide, and it can be decided better. It can be served better if we have our own empire, our own freedom, and religious freedom is very important for every, just like every human. Freedom is important. Without freedom, you're half the person. You can't think right. You can't do right. How can you do? Can perform? It's like I'm saying to you, I'm going to tie up your arms, then I'm going to throw you in the river, and I want you to swim just like everybody else. So, and you had asked question to Pavan Ji Singh earlier. In Sikhi, there's a Simran, there's a Seva, one Shagana, help the needies, help yourself. It's a lot. It's not just one thing. Sometimes I believe it's from kindergarten student to all the way to a PhD and a higher education, because there you have the child who does not know ABC or any other, he's not in the school yet. He's just going there to visit, and he's just learning his ABC. And then you have a person who has PhD and some other degrees, and Gyan, the knowledge. You have to have knowledge. Once you have knowledge, you have to apply it to yourself. And once you apply it to yourself, you can outcome the struggle, and you can do better. But if you're not having the knowledge, or you're not using the Guru's knowledge, and then it's going to be just like anything. It's going to be same old, same old. Did I answer the little bit around your answer, or inside the answer, or just let me know.
You answered beautifully, Udamji. I want to
And
ask Pavan.
maybe Pavan Singh can do a lot better than I can, because he's our guest. We're going to be here for other show and
Now
other show,
you two
and
are
Pavan
you
Singh
two are
is a great
carrying it
guest.
on
So we're
pretty
going to
well.
treat him as a guest and get all his
Both,
brain out.
both the co-hosts and the guests are doing fine, just fine. Pavan, I came into SIKH because I had a strong mentor, Dr. Narnel Singh, who inspired me on the essence, the principles of Sikhism. He would tell me about the need and the urgency in propagating Guru Nanak's message, which I'm faithfully doing even until this day. And the message is the same thing we spoke about: equality for all, Sabat Tabala. But this message came from Dr. Singh chanting the name of Satguru and making other people chant his name. That's how I got to be where I am. And I know there is a tendency for non-pachar, not preaching. I see the younger generation of Sikhs who are taking the streets. They're the one who's going out there and propagating the message of Guru Nanak. To them, I'm so proud. Jagraj Singh on basis of SIKH? I bow to him. He has done such and makes such a difference in whether or not we get the message of Guru Nanak out through public media. It goes around the world in a second. Prior to that, hardly anybody would know of the need or understand what is happening in the world of SIKH. I know this came again from the need to minimize the values and the role of Sikhism. They told us back then, no, you can't preach. Why can't Sikhs preach? I'm not talking to go up there and politicizing people, not like that. But why can't Sikh make the message of Guru Nanak known to all people? It worked for me. What are your thoughts?
You pose an excellent question because a lot of times, I don't know who put this in Sikhs' mind. Oh, Sikhs don't go out and preach. Well, that's not what the Guru wanted us to tell, right? I mean, even if you read Gurbani,
Exactly.
it says that the one candle that's lit, it's that candle's job to go and light others. And I think
You
there's a
know,
fine line between.
I don't mean to cut. That's the same thing I was asking Pavan early on today about chanting the name and let others chant the name. You tell people about the wonders of your Guru. And this is how the message of Guru Nanak gets across. I'm sorry to interrupt, Pavanji.
No, you're absolutely right, and that is how it is. If you read Gurbani over and over again, the Guru is not only telling your mind, but also sometimes encouraging your friends that come sisters, come friends, come brothers, let's chant the name. But that there's a fine line between forced conversions and just convincing and dipping someone in love with Guru's sweet nectar. So there's a
Sanjha.
fine line. So a Sikh is
Sanjha.
told not to hurt anyone's heart, not hurt anyone's feelings, um, or try to do a forced conversion, or try to convert somebody, uh, uh, using your clever means. That is not what it is. You have to be honest with your feelings. You tell somebody how great your guru is, and then you don't try to promise them, oh, you chant the name of the guru and your business will pick up. You chant this and then you will have babies. That's what all these other babe do, right? That's not what the Gursikhs do. What the Gursikhs need to promise others is that if you chant on the name of the guru, you will never be alone. You will always have somebody by your side. And no matter what situation you're in, you know, today you don't chant the name, but you're doing financially well. And then you start chanting the name of the guru, and your business might go down. But then what the name of the guru, what it is doing for you, that it is giving you a lesson to how to live in the will of God. That is what is important. So most of the times when people start preaching, they say, they just talk about all these worldly luxuries, or how if you start chanting the name of the God, you will not get cancer. No, no, no. You might develop cancer after you start chanting the name of the God, but that's where that's the abyss. That's the whole confusion. That it's not going to stop all those things, but what it is going to do, it is going to give you the willpower to fight anything that comes your way. And then it's also going to give you the strength to live in the will of the God, so you're always grateful, and then you never question your guru, and then you don't question the existence of God. Oftentimes when our prayers go unanswered because we wanted something in materialistic life, then we say, well, if there was God, I would have gotten a brand new convertible. So I have not gotten that. I've been chanting the name of my Waheguru for the last 5 to 10 years, but none of the things that I wished for have come true. So maybe there is no God, maybe there is no guru. But those who truly love Guru, for the sake of the Guru, for the Naam, they attain Guru, they attain God, they all become one.
Udham Singh, thank you, Pavanji. Thank you for that enlightenment. Udham Singh Ji, wouldn't you say that the faith, following up on what Pavan is telling us, is the faith that becomes necessary to stick to that, staying with your guru, regardless of what the consequences are? Would you say
Yes,
that is
Dennis.
necessary in this?
Yes, yes, Dennis saying faith is very, very important. Without faith in God, there's nothing because we trust God, we have faith in God, and if He provide us everything, He provided the food before He gave us the birth. That's what the scripture said. Food was put on the earth for um, for the human has or um, anything has become as a food was put it on the earth for to survive all the species, right? And that's God's way. God has His way, and you want your way, I want my way, and God wants His way. So faith, without faith, you're nobody. Uh, you have to be under His order, and you have to love Him. Just like children, if children don't love their parents and they cannot be close to their parents, or if they don't live under their order, they cannot be close to them either. So there's two things: love and order. It has to be there, and faith. Without faith, I guess maybe some people can do it, but I think everybody needs faith in God.
It's essential, just as
Yes.
essential as the air we breathe.
Yes, it is for me, and it's for you, and it's for Pavan Singh. That's a 3 out of 3, and I think it's important. And if it's not important for some people, that's they they can decide. But I think it's very important for every human on this earth.
Thank you, G.
Dennis Singh,
Uh, Angie,
I think the time is there, and yeah.
so I must say thank you so much for co-hosting the program tonight, Udamji, and we look forward to moving ahead with SIKH SARDAR. It has been a wonderful
Can I
time.
do the can I do the closing of the show?
Please do. And before you do that, I just want to say thanks to Jasbir Singh for filling in on our technical directions this evening.
Yeah, on the show, I want to say thank you to Pavan Singh. I want to say thank you to Jasveer Singh. I want to thank you to you, Dennis Singh. And I want to thank you to all the audience. And I want to say thank you to all the people going to watch the program later on the internet and on their phones. Um, Sikh Sardar represents Sikhi and Sardari. So when you're Sikh, you're Sardar. When you're Sardar, you're Sikh. Without Sikhi, you cannot be Sardar. Without Sardari, you cannot be Sikh. So it's a base on the Guru Nanak Ji. They said the Raj and Jog. Without your empire, you cannot be, say, you're religious, and without religious, you cannot have a good empire. So I want to thank you, everybody, and we will have show next week, and we will have callers on the show. We will have other guests, and the main for the Sikh and Sardar show is that we want to talk about our Guru's order, Gurbani, and we want to sing the Kirtan, and we want to talk about Guru's order as a Gurbani, and then we want to talk about history, Sikh history, and this channel is based uh, for the show as a Sikh religious, Sikh history, and Sikh politics. And we all believe that we all need all three things and to do better as a human. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.